Welcome, Aleksandra. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you on Storyworthy Stories. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, I am extremely happy to be here with you today, guys. And I feel honored actually to be able to speak about books and writing and languages. So thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Yes, Aleksandra, I know that you love books. You read a lot. This year, I've checked your account, your profile on Goodreads, and I've noticed that you've read only in 2023 alone 80 books. So how did you do that?
Well, first of all, I would like to say this, that because of social media, there is definitely this obsession with numbers. And that is why people sometimes they feel intimidated by the numbers, especially the numbers of other readers, right? What they read. That is why, of course, I think everything is important. And even one book per year, it's already success. So that is why I don't want, like our listeners to feel like, oh my gosh, and I've read only 5. This is the first thing. The second thing important to say is that I don't have kids. And I know that people now with kids listening to us, they will be like, oh, she has all the time on her hands. She doesn't have kids. And that's true. And I realize it. And that is why I've decided this year, I'm in between, thinking probably about having kids, but not having them yet. So I decided this year that I will make the most of this year. I will try to do my best, really enjoy this time. Another thing important to say is that I work from home, which means that I can build my schedule around reading, writing, running, all my passions. And I don't have time, I don't have actually waste my time on all this chit chat, coffee breaks. If I have a coffee break, that will be definitely with the book. And the last thing to say is that I'm this type of person who will always prefer to stay at home with the book instead of hanging out with people. Well, so on the other hand, that is also true because I don't want to be too modest either. That, this is my personal record this year. And I definitely broke my personal record. What helped me a lot? First of all, I limited time that I spent online, like social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. So I really on Instagram only for blogging. I know that it sounds selfish because, you need to support other people, blah, blah, blah. But I said this year, it's reading year. That is why no Instagram, no Pinterest, no Facebook. And another thing is that not only do I read books, but I also listen to them, which means that when I'm, doing some household chores, I don't know, like doing the dishes, I'm always listening to books. Which means actually that now I'm looking forward every day to doing my dishes. I'm like, yeah, I will listen to this book. Finally, I will find out what will happen. So that happens a lot. And also another thing is, of course, Kindle. It doesn't take much place in your bag, which means that you can read everywhere. You are like in line in supermarket, instead of scrolling through like social media, you just take out your book, your Kindle, and you read it. That's all.
I've got one as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
low
it's
battery.
Low battery. So it is, yeah. On the other hand, of course, I used to be really kind of snobbish, saying that, listening to books, it's not really like reading books. Reading Kindle, it's not really. But now I'm saying, what the heck? You read no matter how you do this. It's already great that you have time instead of just watching all these reels, shorts, what they have, I don't remember. And that is why, I would say another thing, the last one that I have forgotten to say, but I think it is important to say that 80, it's not really a precise number, because I put on my Goodreads list everything that I read, which means actually short stories as well. So that is why if you like books, well, I would say like probably 70, 65. So that's also important to say. It just, for me, it's easier to, like to keep a track on everything that I read, that I like just, like can go through this list. So it's not really for bragging or showing off. It's just really putting everything in one place. And also it's easy when people, for example, like from blogs, they have any questions, I can always say, okay, well, yeah, look, I have read this, so you can just actually go there and check it out. So, well, yeah, that is why definitely limiting my social media presence and being a kind of an introvert. I don't know, it helps a lot.
Yeah. Well, one thing you said that you use Goodreads, you keep track of the books that you read. This is what I do too, and yeah, it's not to show up, to show off, or to show the world how great you are because you read books, but it's just to keep track of what you read, basically. And it's also nice, that you can upgrade your progress when you read a book. It's also nice to do that, because it shows that you're actually reading. It reminds me that I have to read, because sometimes I have to I don't want to say force myself, but you need to protect that time, as you said, to read. Otherwise, you might get distracted by social media and the other things. And you said you prefer books to hanging out with people. I want to know more about this.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, first of all, you shouldn't forget that I'm a teacher, which means that like most of my time I spend talking with people. It's like a nonstop. I'm this talking head all my day. That is why for me, the ideal me time is to focus on myself. And reading really allows me to be with myself on the one hand. On the other hand, I am not stuck in my thoughts. I don't have to overthink. I have, like a conversation around the book. I have a conversation with the writer. So that is why, yeah, definitely I prefer this. And also, another thing is that I live in France, well, and I'm not French, which means that sometimes, yes, it's just the matter also of finding your people, finding people who are on the same wavelength with you, which I'm not really good at. I'm not really good at socializing with people, let's say like this, even though I love my students, I love being present, like, and sharing knowledge, but I believe that sharing knowledge and just hanging out, it's not the same thing, and not necessarily that I can easily find people who are also crazy about books, writing, reading, etc. Most I hang out with my husband's friends, which is actually absolutely different type of people and circle, like more like business schools, talking about work. So this kind of stuff. Of course, I prefer book in this case.
Yeah, well, reading books is, I think, when you open a book, you have nothing that can distract you in the book, I mean. Whereas when you're online, and if you're reading a blog, or if you are on YouTube, if you're reading stuff online, you're always tempted. I mean, I'm always tempted to click away from what I'm reading, because I've got my email inbox to check. I've got social media. I have other websites that maybe the ads that you see when you're reading. And that's why I use Medium to I only read stuff on Medium, really. Do you know Medium?
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I opted for Substack. I don't know really why, because as I understand, they kind of are the same idea, but I don't know, somehow I just like the orange color of Substack, because this is their color and I was attracted to it. But yeah, I totally know what it is, and I think the idea is really great.
Yeah, because so there are no distractions there. Basically, even when you open an article, you only have the article, and it's like reading a book, because it's it's the ultimate place, I think, the book, where you can really focus on words and sentences without, the constant messages, constant pop-ups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But do you prefer like reading from your computer, or I don't know, from like a tablet, or because this is also honestly reading from computer physically, it's a little bit more complicated, like you have, like neck that is, all going numb. Whereas like with book or even like, but phone, there is another problem because, this screen is not big enough. I mean, like I'm wearing glasses, but it's not big enough. And whereas like, I don't have, like a tablet, so I can't imagine physically this experience. But what is really cool about books, that you can change the position and you can really, adapt to you, because whereas from computer, well, okay, I sound like a grandma. Okay, yes. But
no, I'm the same.
But you have, like to sit in the same position, like to look, well, yeah. So that is why I'm also wondering, how do you read? Do you read only from computer, like Medium, if we talk about this?
Medium, well, I have to read here on my desktop, my desktop computer. But I buy books, paper books.
Yeah.
I like highlighting stuff in books, and also sometimes I buy books on Kindle, especially if I'm not sure if I'm going to like the book or not.
Yeah, definitely.
But sometimes I even buy the same book in Kindle version and in paperback version if I liked it.
This is the best. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, also, for me, the moment I realized that I feel that like in France I am at home is when I started buying books. Because, like when you're just moving and everything is unknown and you don't like, you're not sure whether you will stay, whether you will come back to your like home country. The moment I started, like collecting books, I was like, no way now, because, having all this luggage with books, it's like a pain, to move back to your country. So that is why also there is this idea of creating your reading zone with physical objects and when you feel like at home. I feel it like this.
And you read both fiction and non-fiction, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Why do you read? Why do you read?
Question.
Why do you read so many books?
Yeah, this is a great. I of course I could say something like, the easiest to escape from reality, but that wouldn't be true because I love my reality. I would say that I am obsessed with words. I'm hungry for words. I just want, especially I'm reading in my second language, and I'm writing also in my second language. And I see this is like one of the best ways for me to become a better writer, to learn language, to feel this language, is to absorb words. So that is why I'm trying to read actually everything that come in my possession. I read it, everything, because I believe that we shouldn't limit ourselves, fiction, non-fiction, all sorts of things. I mean, like I'm going to reread Twilight, like people like, oh no, Twilight, like it was like 10 years ago, like 15 years ago was a huge, hype about all these vampires things. But I want to get all the words possible, because the more words I know, the better I can write. But then we will discuss about knowing words and doing with them. But that one, yes, I would say the first one is obsession. And the second one, again, it's a perfect me time. The time when I don't have physically to speak, because, well, at the end of the day, when you work online with your students, of course, physically you get tired of speaking. On the one hand, so it's like, yes, I have rest. On the other hand, I don't stop, like thinking, getting new ideas. So it's like communication, but with written words. So that is why it's a perfect me time for me to get through things, to learn things, and actually, by the way, yes, now if I have a question, of course, first of all, I will try to Google it, and then I will try to find a book on this question, and kind of like either to read or just, you know, like to skim through it, you know, like to find it, especially if we talk about nonfiction books, right? So if it's like something urgent, I will just try, you know, like to skim through it, to look through it quickly. So that is why, yeah, this is my source of answering my questions. Well, yeah.
Do you skim books as well? Like, okay, nonfiction books?
I don't put this on my Goodreads list, but yes, if I have something kind of like urgent, what does it mean urgent? It means that this like nagging question that, like, you know, have been haunting me, and I really need to know what to do, then of course I will skim over. But I don't put it on Goodreads. It's just I need to find this. Somehow I trust books more than internet, again, because internet somehow sometimes it's very impersonal. It's kind of like, again, I sound like a grandmother, it's like machine is talking to me, whereas like a book, I know that was a person, I can find this person online, and if I'm unhappy with the information, I can say to them that, well, what's bullshit you have written, but somehow I feel that it was a person, you know, and there is some more expertise. Again, it's the way how I feel it.
So do you even contact people, not people, authors?
Writers?
Yeah.
Not yet, because for now I'm always happy with what I have read. So no,
yeah,
probably I should. By the way, no, I haven't. But this is a great idea.
I've done it a few times, and I wrote to, okay, my listeners, I'm sure they know Matthew Dix, the author of Storyworthy, an amazing book about storytelling, which I highly recommend. And he replied. I wrote to another writer, Derek Sivers. He replied. I wrote to a woman in Australia. I can't remember her name. She wrote The Secret Life of You. It's a non-fiction book about being alone with your thoughts without, you know, logging off, switching off social media, music, the radio, and just being alone with your thoughts. So I wrote to her, and she replied. So, you know, sometimes that made me change my mind. I thought, okay, usually people, these authors, famous authors, they will never, like, they don't care about an email that they received. But actually, no, some of them at least enjoy receiving feedback on their work. That's why on my book I put a call to action at the end, where I say, if you like this book, please let me know, because it's a way of interacting with your audience. So I don't know, just maybe something that you want to.
Thank you. I have never actually thought about it, because I'm always a little bit, you know, afraid of bothering people. But on the other hand, when you are saying it now, it's a very solitary profession to be a writer. I mean, like, you write a book like your baby, and then you just, like, you know, put it to the world. And okay, of course you can go through reviews online, but again, it's a little bit impersonal. And when people, they write reviews, they don't necessarily write it for the writers. They write it for other readers. And there is no something like, oh, okay, J.K. Rowling, I love you. By the way, yes, I think she will be the first. I will write to her, because I'm really crazy about Harry Potter. Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, not of course. If listeners, they don't like Harry Potter, it's absolutely okay. But I just, like, you know, I was growing up with Harry Potter, reading this book, so I will definitely write to her. So thank you for this idea.
Yeah, well, normally I don't write my email expecting a reply. Actually, my emails, those emails don't need a reply. I just say, okay, thank you for this. I enjoyed reading this. I learned. I always say what I learned. You made me change my mind about this. It's just, you know, a couple of lines, and that's it.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we kind of, like, you know, in this consumerism mentality now everywhere, including social media and blogging. So people just, like, consume without. Well, thank you. Yeah, this is a perfect idea. Thank you. Very bookish idea.
No problem. And so you said that you write also. What stuff? What kind of stuff do you write?
Yeah, well, mostly like I'm spending my time on Substack, and I'm writing for my I call it like a blog. Then they say that it's like a newsletter platform. I'm a little bit, like, I feel it's like my blog. And I write mostly now creative nonfiction. I love how it sounds. On books, on writing books, on writing books, on reading books, not yet writing books, on reading books. But also I write about this experience of being a non-native English speaker who is crazy about writing. So I also love to share this experience. And of course, also I love to write about my life, some
So it's
like some mentoring, some ideas about my life. But I also try to do this in a creative way because I'm crazy about, like decorating things. I'm really into decorating things, and I love to decorate my text. I love to make them picturesque. I love to make them vivid. Okay, I think that words, they are like precious stones. And my job as a writer is, to look at different precious stones, to choose the best that will go together, like the size, the color, the shape, and kind of like create a piece of jewelry. This is at least my goal. That's what I would really love to do, like to make like jewelry. We will see how it goes. Probably now it's more like H&M quality. But well, we're always, growing. So probably one day I will be like, I don't know, this Tiffany. I'm not crazy, by the way, about Tiffany, but something like, like luxurious, some luxury stuff.
Okay, so you can open your own brand, jewelry shop or brand. And you decorate. So you said that you decorate your text. Like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah.
By using words or by using visuals?
Yeah. Well, actually, using words to create the atmosphere. Even when I'm writing about, for example, books, I always want to make it very tangible, palpable. It's not enough for me to say that I read this book, this is great. I really want to create like a story. Like I want to create, the background. I want like to start with describing, the atmosphere, so that it's everything is about feelings. I want really to make, because this is how I read, this is how I write. I like to feel things. For example, now we are having this conversation and I just, like can't help thinking such a lovely day with this sun, with this sky. So definitely, if I think about our experience today, I will definitely start by the atmosphere, by what I felt, how I felt, and only after that, what an insightful conversation it was. And so that is why what I like decorating, like talking about feelings and emotions, because I think this is a kind of a decoration of our life. It makes our life, more purposeful. And using the words, yes, using the words to make it. But again, using the words, there will be, I guess, this question about it's not how many words you know, but what you're doing with them. We'll discuss it later.
We can talk about it now. Like, so you said exactly this on your Instagram. You said writing is not about how many clever words you know, but what you do with them. So
absolutely. Again, there is this, I believe, obsession, especially among second language learners, with advanced vocabulary, all these videos, like don't say easy, don't say interesting, say facile, absorbing, whatever. I understand it's a thing of marketing, but I just want to give you an example. It's from Fitzgerald's The Beautiful and Damned. There is this sentence that goes like this. So the sentence is like this. The room was full of mourning. The room was full of mourning. Such a simple sentence from grammar and vocabulary and structure points of view. But if you just close your eyes and just like absorb it, like the room was full of mourning. It's so tangible, so palpable. You see it, you feel it. You don't, and this is for me a perfect example that you don't need fancy words. You don't need long sentences in order to transfer this idea. On the other hand, I have nothing against, again, long sentences, difficult structures. I think when you write, especially when a second language writer, the most important thing that you should ask yourself what I want my readers to feel, to learn, to think about. And then when you know what you want to create with your words, your job is to choose the right words. What it means, the right words? It means that they can create this picture, first of all. Second of all, that the words, they work together. That what it means to work together, that there is this rhythm. That when you, and I think also, by the way, it is very important when you write also to read out aloud your texts and to see how they sound. Because this is actually, well, books and stories, everything was born in an oral tradition. We used to speak, we used to tell stories, you know, like in front of the fire together. And so that is why I think it is important to read it out. And when you
Absolutely.
When you feel that your texts are heavy, which means that you just need to, you know, take another breath and read and keep reading, there is something wrong with it. That is why I believe that writing creatively, it's more important is to know what you do with words. Now I will explain what I mean to know what you do with words. I think that it's important to pay attention to figures of speech, you know, like metaphors, alliteration, all this stuff, because this is exactly what helps your text sound well. Because if you just put, you know, a list of adjectives, you know, something like, I don't know, like unfathomable, facile, well, you know, all this with Latin, you know, origin, clever and fancy, your readers, they will get lost in these words. They will say, okay, yeah, definitely the writer knows the words, but what am I here to do with these words? So, well, that is why always know the goal, what you write, why you write, and after that choose what the best words that can help you, the best word that can create it, and always read it out aloud after that to see how. And I also, by the way, I like also I can recommend a book on creativity by David Lynch. David Lynch, like this
the director.
Yes, exactly, movie creator, Catching the Big Fish. And there is this great, it was actually about movies, but I always use it, you know, about writing, that the quote goes like this: sometimes restrictions get the mind going. When you have limitations, sometimes you come up with very creative ideas. Yes. And I believe that, as you know, like second language writers, we do have these limitations. We will always have it, no matter what like our level is, like C2, etc. Still, we are non-native English speakers. But our job is to do the best, to make the best of what we already have, and to work through limitations. So that is why I believe that when you already know past simple and present simple, you already can start writing creatively. Probably it will be something simple. Probably you won't be able to write some philosophical ideas, but already you can create something, just having the basics.
Absolutely. I totally agree with this. And I really like that you mentioned that creativity flourishes within constrictions. This is actually, I've read this very recently, like I think a couple of days ago, in a book that I reviewed on my blog called The Practice by Seth Godin. And he talks about the woman who designed the logo for Apple, but not the Apple, but I can't remember what she designed. But they said, okay, you have this amount of space to create this logo. And she didn't, you know, she wasn't upset because she didn't have a lot of space. So she said, okay, these are my limitations, my constrictions, my constraints, and she made the best use of that space to create the logo. And you can also build these boundaries with technology. So you can, okay, I want to be creative by only using YouTube, for example. I will not use anything else, only YouTube. Or you can give yourself, I'm just thinking aloud, a word limit.
Yeah.
So I need to write 500 words. I cannot say this in more than 500 words. And that's your constraint.
Absolutely. Or you can stick to one topic. Last year, you know, I had this challenge for myself. I've decided that like for 30 days, I will every day on Instagram. At that time, I was a little bit obsessed with Instagram. I would write a post about my routine. But again, I would try to do this again, as usual, to decorate it, to make some kind of like magic text, you know, that to describe like very mundane things in a creative way. And so like for 30 days, I was writing all about routine, like drinking coffee, meditation, running, etc. And I really loved it because I felt so liberated by this, because I didn't have to think, okay, what I'm going to write about. I already knew the topic. So I just had to do something with it. So that is why I'm a huge fan of limitations to some extent, of course, right? But I absolutely agree with you. The same about like, yeah, or the same about like, yes, you can just choose like writing as your main like way to present yourself to this world. Because yeah, sometimes now we're trying to do everything like videos. Well, these churches actually now I'm still figuring out my online presence. So like videos, like all these reels, then texts, and then I don't know what else they will like podcasting. So yeah, but this is the time.
Yeah, you can again, maybe you can limit your options and only use one way, one channel, and you get creative with that. And I like that you said non-native English writers, they have, of course, if depending on their level, but if they're not advanced, let's say, so they have basic words, they can still get creative using those words. That's a great point. I've never thought about that.
Well, for example, let's say like if we talk about everyday life, let's say like this, we can say something like, for example, I don't know, like I was cold and I wanted to drink hot coffee and I took a cup of coffee. But you can also say, and my cup of coffee smiled at me. Something like this. And already you see there is this moment of cheerfulness, you know?
Nice.
Or I don't know, like something like my alarm clock was screaming. You see, it's again basic vocabulary, just instead of saying ringing, you use these figures of speech, you know, you take things that normally don't go together, they mix them, and then you see how it goes, whether it works or not.
Yeah. You actually, well, if you've read any of my stuff, you won't see any big words or fancy idiomatic language. My writing, I consider my writing to be very, very simple. Like, if we copy and paste one of my texts into one of those programs where they tell you this is a C1 word, this is a B2 word,
score,
yes, you will see that most of my words are A2. So it's for words that an intermediate student would use.
But
I think there's nothing wrong with that, unless of course, unless you want to publish a beautiful novel, highly descriptive novel, which I will never do, because I'm not as interested as you in fiction, which is something that I want to talk about. But yes, now you were going to say something.
No, I just wanted to say that, another thing is I just came across a post yesterday. It was for native speakers, but it doesn't matter. That sometimes using, these clever and fancy words, it's actually a sign of insecurity. And I actually, to some point, I do agree with this, because using these fancy and clever words, you kind of hide yourself behind, because you're not sure probably of what you're going to say. And that is why you want to put, you know, these layers of clever words, of fancy, of long words, in order to, because, well, you know, it's like, I like this idea that if we look at a circle is the simplest shape, right? Like a circle. But as a symbol, it has so many different meanings. It can be eternity, it can be the cycle of life, it can be endless, it can, well, you know, like if you have a look, if you think about it. And that's what I love, exactly, that simple things, they hide lots of potential. And that is why sometimes, you know, the only writer who really, in my opinion, handles well, you know, using all these long words, etc., it's Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry, he has a word. And if you read some of his books, you will see that he is obsessed with long and fancy words. And for example, I read his book on Greek mythology. And you see how he likes, you know, like juggling all these synonyms. Like instead of saying like hungry, he will say what, like hungry. And of course, I forgot all the other words. But you will see just, you know, like, that is why, by the way, if you want to learn fancy words, read Stephen Fry. He's really good at it. But if you know him, like, I mean, if you have seen some of his videos with him, etc., you will see that the guy, he's really just obsessed with words. It's just, he loves the words. It's just this love for the English language. And so that is why you can kind of forgive him for using all these words. Otherwise, well, every guy like Stephen King in his own writing, Chuck Palahniuk, well, they all say the same thing. Like, stop being obsessing of learning new words and do what you can with what you already have.
Fantastic.
So that is what I agree with you, absolutely.
Stephen King, you mentioned On Writing.
The best book.
Yeah. Well, let me grab it because I've got it here. This is okay. It's this one.
Okay, I have mine is in green. Okay, so you have this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I stole this book, and
again,
I stole it in a hostel. I was in Morocco. I saw this in a hostel, and it was there. No one cared really. You know, in hostels they have those community little library shelves. And I saw it there, like, wow, Stephen King On Writing. I had seen this many times online. I thought, okay, I'm gonna steal this. And I've read it. It's beautiful. Basically, it's I don't know if it's the only book, or the only non-fiction book that Stephen King has written. I'm not sure. I think
he already, well, because I'm a little bit obsessed with Stephen King. He also read, oh my gosh, he also wrote about horror books as a genre. I think it's called like the Macabre Danse or something like this.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, you know, I haven't read it yet, but still, like, this is always on my to be read list. But so yeah. And I believe that, in my opinion, this is one of the best books on writing. Every year I read it. Okay, also Ray Bradbury also, that was cool, like Writing and Zen or something. Chuck Palahniuk, by the way, I highly recommend you either to follow him on Substack or to find online his, I think it's called 36 Essays on Craft. So about also writing. Well, I mean, these two guys, what I like about them, that first of all, they are obsessed with words, sure, but also they actually practice what they preach. Meaning that if you open Stephen King book, any of his books, you will see how it works. The guy really does what he's writing about on writing, as well as Chuck Palahniuk, actually. So that is why these two, if one day I, you know, like, happen to talk or just to see them in real life, that will be one of the best days of my life.
I will put all these because we're mentioning so many books. I will put all these links in the show notes, of course. Stephen King. Yes, I need to read this again because I didn't have a highlighter with me when I was reading this, so I couldn't. I just folded the pages where there was something important, but actually I don't know what's important here. So I need to reread this. Beautiful. So when are you going to write a book? Because
well, actually my dream now, this is cool because this is actually now my dream to make like a collection of my essays on reading and writing. That's like my ambition. Because we always need to start with something. The problem with fiction is that, and I think actually lots of writers, they started like short story. Now, okay, let's say like this. For now, I am obsessed with myself.
Wow. Okay, that's
guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Well, it means that for now I feel this, like need. It's like a necessity to write about like me, myself, and I, like about what I think about books, what I think about life, because again, I feel that because of this teaching profession for many, many years, like let's say like 7 years, I feel that I always played, like a support role. And my students, they were, like leading characters. That was my job. That's how I felt. That's how my life was. It was all around this job, all around my students. I would, like in the morning, I would already start preparing classes. And at some point I realized that I just lost myself in all this. And also, like when you move abroad, you start, like recreating yourself in a new environment with new people, with new language, by the way, French language. And so that is why at some point I realized that I have this necessity. And actually also, well, like when you're a teacher, people, they don't ask you questions. Well, I mean, like they ask you questions, but it will be about grammar, vocabulary, whatever. You don't have, this platform really to share your opinion, to say, because they say that the teacher is not supposed to speak a lot. And that is why, but then also there are other things. But well, for this period of my life, I feel this necessity to speak about me in my texts. Probably after that, like I will just get over this obsession and will be able.
I'm thinking because I write about myself in my life as well. I mean, the book that I wrote is basically, it's all about what I did in the past to learn English. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, writing about yourself, it wouldn't be useful if I wrote about myself just for myself. What I mean by this, I mean, if you want to grow a readership, like an audience, I think you need to have your audience in mind. So what do they want to hear? I can still write about myself, but if my story is not written to inspire someone or to help someone, then no one will read it, in my opinion. If you start writing, I don't know, how much I love my dog, let's say, or my cat. I mean, would you be interested in reading an essay on how much this person loves his dog?
It should be something universal. This is exactly what probably I'm talking about decorating things, is that you take your story and you put it on a very universal way. Because, for example, love for dogs, what it means, it is love for someone. Now the video is not working. So okay, but I think we keep. So what I wanted to say, like, for example, if you take a story and you write a story, a love for your dog, well, animals and dogs, they are very fragile. You can write a story about your responsibility, about someone who is loyal to you. So you see, you can always, and that is what I like actually when I said like writing about my everyday life. So every tiny detail of your life you can put on a universal level so that it becomes relatable. And people, when they're reading it, they say, holy moly, yeah, that's right. When I drink this cup of coffee, it definitely smiles at me because I'm happy, the cup of coffee. And that is why, and by the way, the moment I started writing really about what I wanted to write, that was the moment when I started getting a Substack audience. And people started to comment on my post. Like the moment when I started writing kind of like nakedly, meaning that I just like I took off all, like superficial things, and I just got to the core of who I am, what is important for me, becoming sincere and authentic as possible. That's the moment when people, they started, oh yeah, this is so relatable, oh gosh, and I have this story about the cat and dog. So that is why I think it's the way how you what you do with words. Again, if you can get back to it, in my opinion, again, I'm just starting, like I'm still figuring, and I think as a writer we will be figuring out this all our life, what to write, how to write.
Yeah.
But at this point, I believe that if this self-obsession helps me to show people that their life matters, then I think it will work. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is something that most people need help with. Like they think, a lot of people, not most, but a lot of people think they're not interesting, or they don't have any interesting story to tell. And that's not true. That's simply not true. And you say blog only about what makes your heart beat faster. So you say don't blog about things that are popular or will get likes. Blog only about what makes your heart beat faster. You want to say something more? I guess this is my question.
Absolutely. No, definitely. Well, okay. That will be, I hope that okay. I believe that our mission in life, that is what
Wow, that's big.
like,
That's big.
yeah,
Go,
this
go,
is
go.
big, yes. But I believe that our mission in life, first of all, is to figure out who we are and how we can help other people by being our truest self. And I believe that from the moment when you realize who you are, what is important for you, this is the real moment when you can really help people, when you stop pretending, when you stop like imitating others. And from this point, what my best work with students, it happened only when I was my truest self with them. When I pretended to be, this like a kind of a clown, or like very popular, there was this moment, on Instagram when like all kind of skits and jokes, etc. When I was pretending being this one, we didn't get real connection with them. And I believe that blogging, it's your way to build a community of like-minded people, of people who say, yeah, I prefer to stay at home on Friday night because I love books, or something like, well, yeah,
No, we're so similar. I'm smiling because we're so similar. Yeah.
And so that is why, and also we shouldn't forget about burns out. And actually, if you constantly calculating in your mind how to get likes, you will burn out more quickly. Whereas when you find the source of your inspiration in your passion, like in long term, it will help you to keep writing no matter what. Because and also it's very emotional, it's very draining and exhausting to be obsessed by likes and to be obsessed. I mean, of course, at some point, again, it is important to get, this feedback and positive feedback from other people. Sure, yeah, but being only obsessed with it, no. So that is why I think authenticity is, like the new sex, like sexy. It's really something that we now, and especially also, we shouldn't forget about artificial intelligence, chat GPT, etc. The only way that we have now as human beings is our authenticity, is even mistakes. In a way, it's also our way to manifest ourselves, to present ourselves to the world. So that is why, again, on the other hand, I'm saying this, I'm absolutely sincere and honest, and that's what I do. I write from the point of being authentic. On the other hand, as you can see, well, I don't have many followers on Instagram and Substack. So that is why I cannot, like be an expert in this topic. I don't have, like thousands of people, but I know that what helps me to keep writing no matter what. Like whether I'm tired, whether I have lots of work, whether I sometimes, yes, I just can say why I'm doing this. I don't have followers, but then I answer because I freaking love it. Because that's what I want to, like I have, like goosebumps, thinking about it. And I think in the longer term, if you really want to keep writing no matter what, like, I mean, creative content, let's say like this, then that will definitely save you from burnout.
Absolutely. I've been blogging almost daily for a month now, even more than a month, I think. And once you get into that rhythm, into that practice, it's so easy. It becomes so easy to keep doing it again. Like, of course, you cannot write an article or a blog or an essay, whatever you like to write, every single day. I mean, a long blog, a long post, a 2,000 word article every day. That would be, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to do it because you need time also,
Yeah, exactly. And you don't need to do this, exactly.
Yeah, but you can blog about, you can write a post of 100 words. And and we go back to the constraints. So, okay, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to write a blog post about something that might help or inspire another person. You then have to decide, who you want to help and who your target readers are and all that stuff. But if you give yourself that constraints, then everything becomes easy, because you say, okay, I've got 15 minutes and 100 words to write, and then whatever comes out of this time, I'm going to publish it. Absolutely. That's scary. That's very scary to do. Absolutely. But you do it once, then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you
get used to it.
Yeah, and you're done. You're done. Yeah. I've experienced this recently, like in these last few months, like 1 month ago, I think I started. I can't remember when I decided, okay, now I'm going to write every single day because I want to become a writer, Well,
oh, really? I'm surprised.
Yeah. Even though I blogged about this as well, are we right? Can you call yourself a writer if you don't make money from your writing? Because I make money from my writing because I'm also a ghostwriter for a website and for other websites. And I also wrote a book. I'm not making huge money with that book, but if I didn't make that money, would I still be a writer? Can I still call myself a writer? And I posted this, and most people who replied said, it doesn't matter if you make money or not. If you write, then you're a writer. It doesn't matter if you don't need to be J.K. Rowling or Stephen King. You don't even need to make $1 to call yourself a writer. The action of doing the thing, so the the process of doing the thing gives you that credential, that identity. Okay, not credential, identity. So you become what you do, basically. So I'm already a writer. I consider myself a writer just because I write. And one person said that Van Gogh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, this is the Italian pronunciation, Van Gogh, said only sold one painting, this person was saying. But would you say he's not an artist? Would you say he's not a painter? So
absolutely.
What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I love this idea. And like I love in Atomic Habits, this book, like a famous one. I like this idea that your goal is not to write more. Your goal is not to run more. Your goal is to be a writer, to be a runner, which means that you embrace this lifestyle. You actually, you kind of like embody this lifestyle, and everything is about lifestyle. And that is why 100% sure, yes, I haven't earned anything from writing, but still I call myself a writer. Why? Because I write.
Because you're right. Yeah.
That's all. That's all. Again, you know, like this is again another idea, you know, of playing with all these labels, you know, labeling things. We are so the same. Well, actually, I love this year. 2023 was a good year because I started writing and running. But most importantly, I started calling myself a runner and a writer. I haven't taken part in any marathons and all this stuff, but just because I run like every single week, I call myself a runner, and I don't care what other people say, because when I call myself a writer or a runner, it means that I make it a part of my reality.
Yeah. Well, we've got so many things in common because I'm a runner too. I run three, 4 times a week. I love running. How long do you run? Like
oh, this is a great story talking about books. This year in March, my maximum was 1 lap around the park, and I was already dying, and I was like, no, I hate running, I just can't do this. And then I listened to a book, Can't Hurt Me, by David Goggins, I think his name. And the idea was that, again, all constraints and limits, they come from our mind. And our job is to take control over our mind. And since that moment, I was like, you know, like every week trying to run more and more and more. And now it's like 4 laps around the park, and I'm just loving it. And I do it on a regular basis. But again, it was working with my mindset, because at first I was thinking, no, I'm not a runner. Look at me. I don't have, you know, special like clothes. My shoes are awful. Again, such bullshit, all these things. Again, it came all from my mind. And when I just like accepted the fact that I am a runner, I do this on a regular basis. So that is why I love this year. This was a good year for working with my mindset. And it's like, you know, like this magic 3 R letters, like reading, writing, and running, you know, like this was what my year about. So that is why, yeah, that book helped me a lot, actually.
Reading, writing, and running. That's the perfect lifestyle, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That is why I don't escape from my reality, because I love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And yeah, also the books that we read, because on Goodreads, you can compare the books with other people. So if I go to your profile and I click on compare books, it shows the books that you read and the books that I read, the books that we the same books that we read, that we have in common. Exactly. So, and there are so many there. There's Atomic Habits, there's Men Search for Meaning. There are like 10 or 12. So I don't know, we
definitely we have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
So we should say, like, I think thank you to Elena Mutanona, because that was her idea. She told me, and why don't you want to contact him? And I was like, yeah, and why not? So thank you.
Yeah.
She's really awesome.
All right. So what are you working on at the moment? So now
like projects, right? Like teaching.
Yeah.
Like, well, writing, it's writing. Well, first of all, if you want to follow me, you're more than welcome to go to my Substack, where I'm hanging out most of my time. Then, of course, there is Instagram, where I also try to keep up with this crazy pace of blogging. But now, mostly I'm working on, as a teacher, on projects related to creative reading and writing, which means that we take extracts from different books, fiction, nonfiction, it depends. And we work with everything in it, like vocabulary. But, well, I mean, like vocabulary, grammar, it's cool. But of course, I'm mostly focused on what you feel about it, why you feel about it, what makes you feel like this. Let's have a look. Let's dive into it. Let's dig deeper. And then we try to make our output is to write creatively based on it. Also, of course, if you're just like a beginner, and if you are scared of starting writing, you're more than welcome also to contact me, because as a non-native English writer, I also know how it is scary at the beginning to start, that you're full of anxiety and you're full of all sorts of, like your inner critic is just screaming at you what you're doing. So I know how to overcome it. I know how to start, where to start. So if you have any questions, I will be really glad to help you. It may help you if you start blogging, for example, in English, if you're just, a beginner, or just you want to write for yourself, but you have all these stereotypes about, no, well, I'm not a non-native. I'm a native. I'm non-native speaker. I'm not a native speaker. So probably I shouldn't. So, here I am. If you want to talk, I would be really happy.
Great. I'll put all the links in the show notes or in the description of this video if people are watching this on video. Thank you, Aleksandra. Very interesting conversation. I hope you will write a book, and I hope that you will let me know once you've done it.
Well, thank you so much. This is exactly the magic of talking of a like-minded person. And that is what important, yes, to be authentic. Then like this, you attract people who are at the same wavelength with you. And again, congratulations on your book. This is a real milestone, and I'm really happy for you. And definitely 2023 was a good year for you, I hope. But having a book published, this is awesome. So thank you so much.
I'm planning to write more, but first I have this big academic assignment that I have to finish. So it's a 15,000 word. Actually, my book was 13,000 words.
Okay.
And the dissertation that I'm writing is 15,000 words. So I'm writing something even longer than my book. And
if it's not a secret, what is the topic, or what are you writing?
No, it's not a secret. It's a master's dissertation on helping non-native English writers self-assess their writing.
Oh my gosh, I already love it.
Yeah, well, the topic is great, but the amount of research that you have to do, and I've got all these academic books now here on my desk that I'm reading. It is interesting, but I prefer blogging than writing a master's dissertation.
Because academic writing, it has nothing to do with blogging and creative writing.
Exactly.
It's like another language. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway, wow, I'm really impressed. So really cool. Really cool. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll let you know, because I'm doing some research, and I will have to study people. What do I mean?
Actual writers, right? Who want to write, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So non-native English writers. Actually, let me make an announcement. If you want to be part of this study, let me know, because I'm looking for participants. They can join. They can join for free. Okay, well, you can be one.
I would love to, if I may, of course.
Yeah. I need 10 people. I need 10 people who can join, but then they have to commit, because I'm going to give questionnaires. I'm going to give.
Oh, I love questionnaires. You
Yeah.
forgot I'm self-obsessed. Of course, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questionnaires, and they will have to do one writing assignment. So it's going to be a blog post. I'm going to say, okay, write this blog post, and then self-assess your writing, and then improve it. It's free, because basically you are doing a favor for me, because I need participants for this study, for this research. Okay,
gosh,
good. I found
I
one.
would really. No, I mean, like, it sounds like real bookish, nerdish fun. For me, it's like assessments and writing blogs, and then really.
Great. I think I found 4. You can be the 5th one, and then I will need 5 more. So if you're interested, get in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aleksandra.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful episode. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.